Lois over the years, Peter doesn't realize the danger the family is in until their home is attacked, forcing them to flee Quahog. One car trip filled with sexual tension later, and the Griffins pull over for gas before getting their car stolen. They're left with no other option but to head into the city of Springfield. Cue the music!
यसमा चाहिँ अलरेडी उयो भइसकेछ है सीफुड हालिसकेछ
This crossover filled my childhood fantasy and disappointed me all at the same time. So the family walks through Springfield to take in the sights, Krusty Burger, the Town Hall, and the Quickie Mart, where they run into none other than Homer Simpson. Peter and Homie become fast friends over at Donuts. They're both easy to please, apparently. So Homer takes the family to Chief Wiggum to report the stolen car before inviting the Griffins to meet his family. It's not until they're facing off that you realize just how much one show copied from the other. And I'm not brave enough to add fuel to the fire and say which one did which. So each character meets the other version of themselves, meaning Stewie is introduced to the original troublemaker, Bart Simpson.
Eat my shorts.
Eat my shorts. I love that.
To say that Stewie has found his new idol would be drastically underselling Stewie's love for Bart. The pair bond over their weapons closets and love for pranking people. Simply put, it's a match made in hell. Credit to Bart as he takes Stewie under his wing despite their differences that start to show. For one, Bart Simpson is 10 years old, and while Stewie is ridiculously advanced, he's still only 1. Remember when your parents forced you to take your younger sibling everywhere with you even though they totally weren't cool enough to hang out with your friends? Yeah.
नेपालमा चाहिँ सम्झेकिरा भन्छ यहाँ चाहिँ
This is where
सिफुडले के
Stewie's love
भन्दो
for
रहेछ
his new mentor develops into an
But
episode of
खाँदैन।
Dexter. Without any
त्यसको
prompting,
खोलेर
Stewie
चाहिँ खानु
decides to
मन पर्दैन
kidnap
तर
Bart's sworn nemesis and school
एकदम
bully, Nelson. But he
हेल्दी
doesn't
हुन्छ
just
अरे
kidnap Nelson, he makes a full
नाम
show
पनि
of
थाहा
it.
छैन
Oh, that's a clown I picked. So you know I'm truly insane.
While all of this is happening, Peter's having out with Homer over who creates the best beer, the brewery or Duff. To sum up, Peter and Homer's entire contribution to this episode is donuts and beer. Gripping TV. Their public argument catches the attention of a lawyer who sues Peter as a representative of the brewery for intellectual theft. The judge rules in favor of Duff Beer, and the Griffins are forced to leave Springfield and return to Quahog. But two families don't have teary goodbyes. It's a little more tense, let's say. I'd love to say that Stewie left Bart with a parting gift, but then I'd be lying. He opens the Simpsons garage to reveal the still tied up Nelson, along with even more of Bart's known enemies. Jimbo Jones, Principal Skinner, Sideshow Bob, and for the sake of a pun, Apu.
I know Apu's not your
यो
enemy,
धरानी
but I
सिकुड्यो
just want to
दिदी
say
र
I took
दाइहरूलाई धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद धरानीको सिकुड्यो
Okay, I'll admit it, I laughed
यस्तो
at
मिठो
that. Stewie
पठाइदिनु
doesn't see what
भएकोमा
the issue is with
हिजो
kidnapping
कालो
5
बङ्गुको
different
मासु थियो
people
भने आज
because
सिकुडी
why would
खाएर
he?
गरेर खाँदैछु
But
क्या
Bart absolutely
किनकि
does. When
खायो भने
Stewie
त
asks
सकिहाल्छ
how
नि
they're
त
going to
अनि
keep in touch
अलिअलि
after
लायो
leaving, Bart tells him that Stewie freaks him out too much to ever be his friend. Stewie's left heartbroken, but it should be a valuable lesson for the baby. If you're too crazy even for Bart Simpson, you might want to reevaluate your life choices. At number 9 is an episode where Stewie discovers a new type of freedom, and Stewie goes for a drive. From his very first scene in this episode, Stewie made it clear what side of the bed he woke up on that morning.
You're going to be ugly when you grow up. Everything in your house is cheap.
He pulls the ultimate 180 and goes from roasting Gavin to channeling his inner James Corden. As he belts out Carrie Underwood's Before He Cheats in a parody of Carpool Karaoke, thinking his voice is good enough, he angrily demands that he should be on Glee and accidentally puts the car into drive mode during his outburst. Of course, his baby knowledge leads him to the conclusion that he can now drive. This is going to end so well. Being the thrill seeker that he is most of the time, Stewie decides to steal Brian's keys and take the dog's car for a joyride. He pulls out the driveway, cranks up the radio, and experiences the freedom of the open road. But his excitement quickly shifts from driving to the radio as they announce a competition to win tickets to a Justin Bieber concert. Ooh, so exciting. He calls in for the chance to win, but quickly finds out why using your phone when driving is illegal. He thankfully walks away with minimal injuries, but the same can't be said for the car. When Brian returns home and sees that his car is totaled, he asks Stewie who could have possibly been behind the damage.
Oh my god, that is surprising!
And the Academy Award for Best Actor goes to... Brian sees through Stewie's lies, and it's for sure because he found Rupert in the backseat and not because of the baby's attempts at deception. In one of his more reasonable moments, Brian lets Stewie know that he'll be talking to Lois and Peter about his joyride out of concern for Stewie's safety. Stewie hasn't exactly faced punishment or telling off before, despite the literal hundreds of absolutely insane things he's done. So the fear of his parents finding out has him running away from home. All he leaves is a DVD for Brian, which carefully explains that the dog shouldn't follow him, or chase him down at the airport, or involve a list of songs to play out of a boombox should Brian find him. Stewie really didn't want to be found, huh? So Stewie takes the bus to the airport, except he takes the wrong bus and ends up on a shady side of town. Thankfully, Ms. Lemon Pledge herself, Consuela, is there to take in the lost baby.
Baby, all alone in the street.
second thought, after seeing what Consuelo put Stewie through, he probably should have stayed lost. Since he's literally a dog, which, by the way, how do we all keep forgetting about that? Anyway, Brian uses his dog nose and sniffs out Stewie's location. But Consuela is unwilling to let Stewie go because he's now her baby, called Ernesto. When she refuses to let him go, Stewie brings a gun to a quinceañera. Like he hadn't already done enough damage this episode, Stewie rounds it off by shooting his way out of the party and heading back home with Brian.
I don't want to have to do that.
So he roasted a kid, stole a car, crashed said car, ran away from home, and shot up a party. What a solid, morally sound episode for Stewie. The man with two Brians earns the number 8 spot since it may be the only episode that Stewie has some justification for his actions, as bad as they are. Before I go in on Stewie's actions, I should start with the main cause for all of this. After watching the episode, Jackass Peter is inspired to make his own version of the show. Now, this show comes with a warning to not try any of the stunts at home, but Peter knows he's the main character of the show and won't be getting killed off, so he ignores the warning. It goes just about as well as you'd expect. If you expected it to go horribly, Peter launches himself into a tree and nearly drowns both him and Brian, who is trying to rescue him. Joe saves the day, and Peter makes a mistake of betraying his wife. Now that Brian's growing age is in his head, Peter starts panicking that Brian should die soon and brings home a new dog. New Brian walks in with a joke that makes the family laugh harder than they have at anything Brian has said in his 7 seasons. Peter's actions make Brian feel even worse than he did when Lois roasted his age, but no one notices since they're so occupied with New Brian and his compliments. I'm not exactly the founding father of the Brian Regan fan club, but even I can admit that this was a douche move from Peter. So New Brian makes his way into the family, waking them up with gentle music, bonding with the kids, and even getting into original Brian's good graces by offering him a stick and some marijuana. Okay, I wasn't going to take sides in this fight, but I'm with New Brian now. There's only one family member who's not buying into New Brian's act.
He's not just a delightful new friend for the family. He's your replacement.
Brian always knows best, so of course he doesn't believe what Stewie's telling him. But he does try to outdo New Brian by reminding everyone that he's the original dog in the house, showing off his puppy videos, only no one pays him any attention. Brian gets humbled and Stewie gets his I told you so moment. The realization that he's being replaced doesn't fully hit Brian until Peter, ever so subtly, hints as to what his plan is by asking him to hang out for the afternoon.
That'd be great. Awesome. Because I got this new gun. Really good.
Ultimately, Brian decides it's time to move out. I would too if my other choice was getting shot. He moves in with Cleveland, and Stewie tries to make a new best friend in Brian's absence. New Brian's first mistake is not correcting Stewie's pronunciation of cool quick. In Stewie's eyes, this is a big deal, but his second mistake is the last one he'll ever make. Stewie goes to tell New Brian exactly what he thinks of him, and spoiler alert, it's nothing good. But in retaliation, New Brian tells Stewie that at least his teddy, Rupert, liked him, and his pumping. There's one thing you don't ever do. It's mention Rupert in front of Stewie like that. So Stewie gets his revenge and brutally murders the dog before dragging his body out to the trash. But that's still not enough for the baby. He not only dumps the body, but he also leaves a fake suicide note. Wow, he must have had some demons. After watching this episode, I'm pretty sure New Brian isn't the one with the demons. From the opening scene of the episode at number 7, Patriot Games, it was clear that Stewie was going to be out for blood. As he collects latest sports bets from his cuddly toys, he reminisces about the time he trusted Brian to pack his parachute. Now, my expectation for this cutscene was watching Stewie plummet to the ground having no parachute to rely on, but I never could have guessed what Brian's prank on Stewie was. Okay, Brian wins. He wins everything. One thing about Stewie is he does not forget anything, but for now, he moves on as though this never happened. He tempts Brian into making a bet on what should be a surefire win, a celebrity boxing match between Mike Tyson and Carol Channing. I say surefire because one of these people has won 6 heavyweight championship belts and the other is an 85-year-old actress. Who am I kidding? Of course, Carol Channing won. So Brian owes $50 to Stewie, but doesn't make any rush to pay it back to him. This is where Brian's parachute prank comes into play. Stewie gives Brian a gentle warning that he needs to pay him back in 24 hours, or there may be consequences. I think Brian momentarily forgot who he was dealing with because he didn't pay him back in the time frame. Stewie corners Brian coming out of the shower and asks him about the money, to which Brian sidesteps the question, getting that big mistake.
You gonna give me that money?
Jesus Christ, Stewie, it's $50. Rightly so, Brian is now terrified of Stewie and tries to avoid Stewie around the house. It works for all of 7 seconds.